Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you've ever opened the Amazon Web Services console, taken one look, and immediately closed the tab in an absolute cold sweat, you are completely validated in that anxiety. It is frankly incredibly intimidating. But today, we're going to cut right through all that noise and demystify the cloud together. Seriously, when you first log in, there are literally over 200 different services just staring back at you. It totally feels like you need a PhD just to figure out where to host a simple website or run a basic script. It's just this overwhelming wall of jargon. But here's the biggest takeaway, the massive secret of the day. You actually only need to understand about 5 core concepts. Literally just 5. If you master this handful of fundamental building blocks, you can build like 90% of what you will ever need in the cloud. To get us there, we've got a clean 4-part roadmap for today. Demystifying the AWS cloud, compute and storage essentials, security and database basics, and finally, avoiding surprise AWS bills. Part 1, demystifying the AWS cloud. Okay, let's dive into this. At its core, AWS, which actually launched way back in 2006, is basically just Amazon renting out its own computers to you over the internet. So instead of buying a physical server, wiring the whole thing up, and locking it in some dusty closet, you're just renting Amazon's computing power, storage, and databases. Massive names like Netflix and Airbnb use this exact model. They're hosting these incredibly complex applications without ever touching physical hardware. And the real beauty of it? They only pay for what they actually use. Moving on to Section 2, Compute and Storage Essentials. First up is the place where your code actually runs, which is EC2. That stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Honestly, the absolute easiest way to think about EC2 is that it's simply your virtual computer in the cloud. You click a few buttons, choose how much power you want, your CPU and RAM, pick an operating system like Linux or Windows, and bam, within minutes, you are renting a fully working server that you can log right into. Now, you pay for this virtual computer per hour or even per second, which leads to a massive beginner trap that you absolutely must avoid. What happens is people launch an EC2 instance just to test it out, they forget about it, and then boom, they get hit with a nasty bill a month later. So, rule number 1 of AWS, always turn your instances off or just delete them completely when you're done. Fortunately, if you want to practice, AWS does offer a super generous free tier, giving you a micro instance for free for a full 12 months. All right, so that's your virtual computer sorted. Next up is where your files live, S3, or Simple Storage Service. If EC2 is a computer, S3 is unlimited cloud storage. It's kind of like Google Drive, but it's built specifically for applications, rather than humans, using these named containers that AWS calls buckets. And inside these buckets, you can just dump objects, and that could be anything: images, videos, log files, backups, whatever you need. 2 big things make this incredible. First off, it's essentially indestructible because Amazon automatically replicates your data across multiple physical facilities. And second, S3 isn't just some digital filing cabinet. It can actually host static websites directly to the internet. No joke. If you have standard HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can host a site straight out of an S3 bucket for mere pennies a month. Section 3, Security and Database Basics. Let's move to and see how this builds together. Let's talk security first, specifically IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. Right, so when you sign up for AWS, you get a root user. Think of this as the master key to your entire account. The absolute golden rule here: never use your root user for daily work. And for the love of everything, never hardcode those credentials into your projects. Instead, you use IAM to create an IAM user. This gives you specific limited permissions. It's like a user badge that can, say, only read from S3, but absolutely cannot touch your billing info. This is what you should use for your daily tasks and writing code. And trust me, it vastly protects you from your own mistakes. Alongside security is handling your more complex data. Look, if your app needs user logins, a shopping cart, or forms, S3 just isn't going to cut it. You need a structured database, and that is exactly where RDS, or Relational Database Service, comes in. RDS handles all the messy backend work for your structured data. It takes care of the manual software installing, the automated backups, and those tedious routine updates, allowing you to just focus on building your application. Section 4, Avoiding Surprise AWS Bills. So the crucial point is right here. AWS uses a pay-as-you-go pricing model, meaning there is absolutely no upfront cost, and you are billed exactly for what you use. To help you learn the ropes safely without panicking, new accounts get that highly generous 12-month free tier. This gives you limited free usage on things like those EC2 micro instances we talked about, plus 5 gigabytes of S3 storage to practice with. It's completely risk-free if you are careful. And to absolutely guarantee you stay safe, here are 3 actionable habits that will let you learn AWS for months without spending a single dollar. Number 1, go straight into the dashboard and set a $5 billing alert right now. That way, AWS emails you long before anything gets out of hand. Number 2, always terminate or stop your test resources the very moment you were done with them. And number 3, check your free tier usage page every single month to see exactly where you stand. Apply these 3 habits, and I promise your wallet will be completely fine. The AWS Mental Model Recap. Let's bring all these pieces together. And this brilliantly illustrates just how beautifully simple it all actually is. EC2, that's your virtual computer, giving you compute power. S3, that's your unlimited storage for files and static sites. IAM is your security. Just remember, master key versus ID badge. And RDS is your managed database for all that structured data. This right here is the blueprint for 90% of your cloud architecture. So, we now understand the underlying structure of AWS better than most people who have actually had an account for a year. The intimidation factor? Gone. Our billing safeguards? Completely in place. And we hold the keys to the cloud. So the only real question left for you